series I am calling Icing Ugly. Now, as you might imagine, I didn't originally intend to call this series Icing Ugly because I didn't intend to decorate ugly cookies. But that is what we ended up with. And you gotta call a spade, and when you have expectations that are grand and you think things are gonna go great and then they just don't, you have to laugh it up and call it what it is. And these cookies are not cute. I did use 5 different colors and then white as well. I used yellow, orange, green, purple, and pink, along with the white that most of the cookies are outlined in. Now this cookie that I'm decorating here, it started out okay, but unfortunately the colors just don't work well together. At least in my eyes, they don't work well together. And most of the decorating that I do in this series uses the wet on wet technique. In this case, I did a wet next to wet, which is still wet on wet. Then I take my scribe and I pull through the icing to get an effect. And I just don't think that it really worked. I am calling this Pepto-Bismol pink. And so I thought, let's use Pepto-Bismol and put it into a flood bag or into a piping bag and pipe it onto cookies. So what I did here is I was attempting to do a technique that I saw the graceful baker use, where she lays down dots and she then takes her scribe and just pulls around the edge of the dots to create this really neat swirly technique that definitely looks like candy cane. Now, obviously, we're here in summer and candy canes are not really a big thing this time of year, so definitely didn't want to do the white and red. On paper, I thought that this was gonna be a really, really cool looking cookie with the different colors, and again, it just isn't working at all. And you can definitely see where I struggle to make really neat, decorated, like idea, vision of beautiful cookies. So I did use a thin flood for this series, and it may have been just a little bit too thin. I think it was in the realm of maybe like a 10-second flood. And I don't flood to the edge on purpose so that my icing does not fall off the cookie, although in some of the later cookies it does fall off. So here again, I'm doing that technique that I saw for the candy canes, and as if my technique was gonna all of a sudden get better with these horrible colors and my lack of creative vision. That looks like a little orange boomerang. And then this purple right in the center, I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, hey, let's make them 3 different sizes and then try to make that look like it's some really cool piece of candy. Not working. I don't know what was going on there. So I'm looking at this cookie and I'm thinking, it still needs something else. We've got 4 elements on there and 4 in weird spots. Hey, let's put some little white dots. So then after it crusts for a little bit, I thought, ooh, maybe I could do that crackle technique that I see the graceful baker use, and maybe that'll make my cookie look better. And it's just not working. In fact, I'm pretty sure that it's been about a week, and I'm pretty sure we still have this cookie in the kitchen. I don't think anybody's eaten it. It's just not appetizing enough to eat, I guess. Oh boy, you guys are in for a treat here. I saw this particular technique done on a totally different kind of cookie, different color palette, and it looked really neat. And so I'm taking all of my colors and I'm placing these little blobs all over the cookie. And the idea is, since it's wet next to wet, you just lay the icing down and it kind of all just kind of melds together. And everybody should put, egg yolk right in the middle of their cookie, by the way, because that's a beautiful thing to do. And then my blobs turn out to be not quite so blobby, nice little circly blobbies, because I have no idea where I should be putting these blobs or in what shape I should be putting them. So I just keep blobbing on. By the way, I did speed this up to 400%. So no, I was absolutely not decorating this cookie that fast. And then I thought, oh, okay, so it worked out so well the last time I did the crackle. Hey, let's do crackle on this one too and see if we can make it look even better. No, it's still not working. I knew when I designed this series that I definitely wanted to do some tie-dye. And so I've got a number of cookies here where I've done the tie-dye. It's not the most beautiful tie-dye I've ever seen, but it's actually, these are kind of the saving grace of all these ugly cookies are these tie-dye. They didn't come out amazing. You can see here as I'm flooding this cookie here that I'm having a little bit of issue with my piping bag pushing up against the color, like the yellow and the green there. They're kind of swirling together. But because of the technique and the way that I do this tie-dye, that doesn't really actually become a problem. I do take my scribe and I pull out from the middle. I will be making lines to the edge. Now I'm not taking the time to clean my scribe as I do this, and I am mostly concerned with my icing seizing up on me at this point. You can kind of see there at the top that it's starting to dry just a little bit on that green. I think this particular cookie might be my favorite one of all of the cookies I did, and I don't know if that's saying much or not, but I kind of enjoyed the color palette of this particular cookie. I just went kind of simple with just 3 colors, white, pink, and purple, and I just layered them in over and over, straight into the middle like a bullseye. And then I do the same technique where I just take the scribe, I pull them all the way out to the edge, and then I go back through and I make smaller pulls, not quite all the way to the edge. I haven't quite figured out exactly why my icing wanted to drag like all the way off the cookie that way. I wasn't expecting it to do that. So it left me with very, very rough edges. That's probably more so my inexperience and being brand new to the cookie decorating. Had a little problem there, kind of forgot to take the pressure off of the bag as I was pulling the bag up, and that left me with a nice little mark there. But again, because of the way I take my scribe and I pull through, it really does cover up a lot of mistakes. I just need to figure out how to work quick enough to where I'm not being hasty in my movements. As you could see, as I pull the scribe through these cookies with the icing here, the cookie wants to slide around, and you can kind of tell in some of the pulls that I'm going very, very deep into that royal icing. You can see that it's got bigger like a gap there. And again, I'm trying to figure out how to, see, I'm trying to cover it up there. Trying to figure out how to execute these things. I'd like to try tie-dye on a different shape cookie. I'd like to figure out how to make royal icing come out the consistency that I really need for the application that I'm doing. That's what I'd really like to do. This one here screams Batman to me. Old school Batman. So on this one, I was already getting to the point where I'm going, I don't know what to do with these cookies. They don't look amazing. But I had like 27 cookies, and I definitely wanted to practice my flooding skills. I wanted to do more wet on wet. And so on this one, I just decided to layer with different colors over and over and over. And by the time it was done, it felt like New York graffiti to me. Oh, I know which one this one is. Okay. I was trying to figure out, what is this? It's a little bit out of order from what I thought it was. This is another tie-dye, but I actually kind of like this one. This one I just did the two colors, the white and the yellow, back and forth. And you'll see here, it looks really actually kind of neat when I pull the scribe through. I think I was gonna try using the end of that tool there, and then decided last minute, oh, I don't know if I want to use that, it's so thick. So I am starting to see lemon slice. See those little points on the edges there? Yeah. I had forgotten that I did that. See, it's starting to slide off the cookie. Here, let me try to help it back up just a little bit. Now, on this cookie, you'll see where I had some issues with my icing being so thin that it wants to slide off the cookie if I get a little bit too close to the edge there. I will say, though, that I was not having an issue with my icing seizing up on me. I have done some wet on wet in the past and have had some issues with it wanting to dry up on me a little bit as I'm trying to do the scribe work. Now in this case, I got really close to the edge there, and you can see that the icing wants to kind of flood over the edge. And ultimately, I think it did actually go over the edge just a little bit. This cookie doesn't look bad, it's just kind of boring. Now this one, I don't know if it would be classified as boring, but it definitely classifies as awful. This is one of the worst cookies that I did. But I had long abandoned my plan at this point. And I do actually get to a point where I just give up all hope and say, you know what? Let me just flood these cookies and throw some sprinkles on them and call it a night. I was so disillusioned with these cookies that I actually thought, you know what? I'm not even going to make a video about these because what am I going to say? And then I remembered, wait a minute, what am I doing here with this channel? What is the point of this? And the point is that I am learning, and I'm bringing you guys along with me as I learn, and I hope that you get some benefit out of seeing that it doesn't always work out as planned, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, to learn something new and execute it well. And especially learning from YouTube videos, you don't have anybody to ask any questions to. You're kind of just sifting through video after video trying to figure out what is it I should be doing. And so I'm probably not teaching anybody anything, but I want everyone who's watching to know that you're not alone if you're feeling disillusioned when you go to do something new, that it just isn't turning out right. And unfortunately, you just don't get a lot of that from the YouTube videos when you watch them, because you're watching people who actually already know what they're doing. They're doing the best that they can do by teaching you what to do the right way to do it. But it's been so long since they were new at what it is that they're doing. It's not even on their radar, some of the questions that we have. And I just want to acknowledge everyone who is trying something new and frustrated and want to throw in the towel, or like me, literally want to throw the cookies across the room. You are absolutely not alone. Now, I have saved the best for the last. I don't even know what I was going for when I first started this cookie. But you will see extremely quickly here that I completely lose my patience right here. Yeah, you can already see. What is this? Oh, wow, there's a little tantrum there. And then we have more of a tantrum. So instead of throwing the cookies across the room, I decided to just take my frustrations out on the cookie itself. And you see it gets from bad to worse. And then I decide I don't even care that I'm filming, and you can see that the cookie is completely out of the shot. And then I just take my scribe and just smear it all over the place. I'm not even going for anything at this point. I'm literally just so frustrated. Now, normally there is a little bit of decompression that happens when you have time in between being frustrated and then deciding to stab a cookie to death and take your frustration further out on the cookie. It just wasn't getting any better. And this poor cookie ended up being my Oscar the Grouch. Thank you for joining me today and taking a good look at these ugly cookies. I hope to bring you slightly nicer looking cookies in the future.
next time on Kuny's Cookie Chronicles.
You should always color your royal icing to a few shades lighter than you want your finished product to be. I will be making 2 shades of each color, 2 pinks and 2 greens. I hope that's not too much, because if it is, I'm gonna cry. Whether or not the icing is in fact a different color. The difference in colors showing well on camera. Uh-oh, that's a lot more red than I wanted. This is what happens when icing goes wrong. Now you may be wondering how I can be absolutely sure which samples are which. I should probably conduct this experiment again with different variables and see how it goes.